show, Julian.
Hey guys, you alright?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Creative director, owner of One Big Night Out. It's got many strings to his bow, amongst others.
Yeah. Well, look, let me clear that up. So we've got two main things that we do. So One Big Night Out is everything that we do for tourists, and it's a daily bar crawl. It's the biggest daily bar crawl in the UK, and that's just for tourists to help them get to know London, basically. So it's a guided tour, 5 bars, 5 hours, free shot in each of them, and then we also do loads of stuff with students as well. So I'm the our company is Wicked Student Nights, and we're London's biggest dedicated student event provider. So we've got 5 recurring club nights that we do just for students, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, fair enough. And how long have you been involved in this industry then?
Yeah, so got into events in 2009 when I graduated. Just as soon as I graduated, knew that I wanted to start up my own thing. And my business partner Josh, he was running one-off student events in Swansea at the time. I went to university in London, so I always knew that would work really well, and there was a big market there. So we came together, we met up in between term times, and decided we wanted to do something together.
Okay, cool.
So the bar crawl is every night?
The bar crawl is every night of your life. Yeah, we run on Christmas Day. If you guys have got any plans, we can get you booked in.
Is that a popular one on Christmas Day?
You know what? It's not massive, but most of the people that go on the bar crawl, you've got expats living in London, a lot of Australian and like Kiwi, South African people who like are away from their families.
Sure.
And yeah, it's a really nice one.
Yeah.
So we go to whichever places are open. There's only 2 or 3 actually around Central that we can go to, but the guides that run that tour for us, they always say they have an amazing time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the challenge like of running an event every night? So I guess most people in this industry heavily led on the weekends, Friday, Saturday nights. You're doing it every night, every day of the year. So
yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of challenges. The one that stands out for me is kind of quality control, because when you're running every single night, sometimes things can slip a little bit without you knowing. We've got a really good team of pub crawl guides. I don't actually run the pub crawls myself anymore. I haven't been on a pub crawl for since I can remember. But the guides that we have to do it, they have to be really excitable, really engaging with everyone that comes on the tour. So that's a challenge. How do we make sure they're not getting burnt out, and how do we make sure the tour's always fun?
Yeah. Is the language barrier ever a challenge?
No, come on. When we're drinking, we all speak a language, don't we? That's what I always say. Like, most people speak English. A lot of our tour guides, they come from all over the world as well. We've got Spanish speaking, Portuguese speaking, German tour guides. Cool. So it's pretty easy at linking everything together.
Okay, good stuff. So you've been involved in the kind of the student aspect of it. Is that something you've always wanted to be part of? Have you ever thought of going into, say, like the bigger chains like your Deltics, your Stonegates, anything of that nature?
No, you know what? I mean, for me, it was that I always wanted to do my own thing. And moving into the student side of nightlife was a kind of natural thing for us, because we found that a lot of people that were going on our pub crawls were also students, just because it's such a good value night out, good way of meeting people. So we always knew we wanted to go into the student market. So it was about 3 years ago that we got involved in Wicked Student Nights, and we found it. We've always found it since then. It's worked brilliantly. It's really refreshing, and student nightlife just goes pretty well hand in hand with tourist nightlife.
So with the Wicked Student Nights, what's the concept behind that? Is it just simple students, cheap drinks, have a good time, that kind of thing? Yeah,
you know what? One of the senior directors there, a guy called James Riggs, he said to us quite early on, he said, what makes the most important thing in a student club night is just like having a great venue, great music, great prices. It's not about making things overly complicated. So that's what we do. We've got 5 nights of the week, and they've all got their own different concepts. So one of them is a music-led night, and that kind of links up student DJs with like the new best DJs that are around. That's called Sneak at XOYO. It's one of our longest running ones. we've got a sports night, we've got a house and R&B night, all kind of different things that we've got going on. The other thing that is really central to the way that Wicked Student Nights runs is that we are the official event provider for a number of different universities and colleges in London, including some of the big ones like King's College. So with those guys, it's all about listening to the students and seeing what they want. This year, for example, they opened up a new venue in the student union there. It's called the Vault at KCL. So we run the Wednesday night there as well, and that's really great.
Yeah. Do you see the same students going to the different events like throughout the week? Yeah,
totally, and that's a big difference between the companies. So the students are loyal. You know, they love it. They come every single night. Most of them try out all of our nights, and it's very much a kind of like they all know each other, and we really love that. With One Big Night Out, we're dealing with an audience that comes into London, stays for a week, and then goes, and that's a bit of a challenge for us as an events company of how do we market to those guys and how do we keep things separate.
Where does a lot of your engagement come from in that sense? Are you sort of advertising in those countries for people to? So when they do come over, it's like, right, we know where we're going to be going for our big night.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay.
It's so complicated with the tourists. You know, we do have a lot of tour companies that we work with. So when they come into London, they tend to go on our pub crawl as the main kind of event for going out. You know, for loads of reasons, because it's a safer way to have mainly because it's a guaranteed way of having a good night out. London can be a really tough place to kind of get around in. Sure. You can easily get ripped off in Leicester Square and all those kind of places, you know. I heard of a Finnish couple from a hostel that we work with, the Generator Hostel. They tried to go to Efes Snooker Club over in Dalston, which, you know, I mean, that's a good venue, but it's not on most people's bucket list when they come to London.
I've heard tourists talk about that.
But anyway, people like the pub crawl because it is, you know, it's a guaranteed night out, and that's what they go for really. Aside from that, we've got a network of all the biggest youth hostels in London that we work with. They promote us, so if you walk into that hostel, you pick up a flyer. And then it's more and more online these days as well with tourists as well. People come to London, they've got data on their phones, and that's how they find out what they're going to do.
So when, I suppose then when obviously it's out of term time as we're approaching, or we've just approached, or we've just had, is that kind of where the main sort of business switches, or is it a case of, right, we can focus on the big night out, but now we're going to be gearing up for when, you know, they come back, when the students are available, when they are here?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the good things about the way my business runs is that when the tourist season is not so busy, that's when the students are in full flow. You know, students love to go out and party throughout their term time, and over the summer holidays, that's when the pub crawl is busiest as well. So that's one thing that works really nice for us.
Yeah, with regard to the pub crawl, obviously the bulk of it is tourists. Do you get any locals at all go on it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we don't like to say it, but you know, we would say that about 30% of our crowd are locals who just know that the pub crawl is the best way to get a great deal and, you know, to meet people from around the world really.
So what do they actually get then with the pub crawl? What's the package?
You want me to give you the spiel?
Yes, the sales pitch.
All right, there you go. All right, so it's £15. You go to 5 bars in 5 hours. You get a free shot in each of those. There's drink deals all night, which is 2 for 1 or a buy one get one free. That means that you'll save the ticket price alone just from buying an extra drink in each of the bars you go to. Yep. And then we finish up by ending in a big nightclub in Leicester Square where you get queue jump entrance included in the price as well. And sometimes that club is a massive super club. So if we use Ministry of Sound as the end club on the weekends, and if people want to stay in central London, we use big venues like Piccadilly Institute, Zoo Bar, Tiger.
Yeah.
Are we going tonight?
You're in.
We're in.
You're in. I'll put you down on the guest list, boys. Easy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So with I suppose then with that kind of market, do you've been doing it for so long. What are the kind of changes you've seen over the last couple of years? Dare I say that the scary B word that's obviously going around at the moment, has that affected you guys?
No, it hasn't actually. It hasn't affected us yet.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, we anticipate that it's going to make London slightly cheaper to visit, albeit, we just don't really know the full effect that's going to happen on tourism with that. The biggest challenge we've had throughout, the 10 years that we've been running has been keeping up to date with how people are, what the most effective promotion method is, because it used to be Facebook. Now we've got students that are telling us that Facebook is dead. And it used to be with tourists that you would go to a hostel and they'd go wherever the receptionist told them to go. And now we're finding all the tourists that come to London, they've all got data packages on their phone, so they're looking online. So that's the thing I would say is the biggest challenge, keeping your ear to the ground and working out like what's the next big deal.
So would you say Snapchat and Instagram is where the kind of bulk of advertising is going?
Yeah, definitely Instagram. Snapchat, I think, is still emerging as how can you effectively target people on Snapchat. People are using that as a bit of a disposable mechanism, but Instagram is definitely massive. I mean, you guys know from what you do at Licklist with photography that's always been important, and it is working. It works in different phases. It used to be that people loved just kind of tagging themselves in picture albums that they would see online. So we always did that. Then it moved a bit more towards video, I think. So people love tagging themselves in video and because they weren't used to seeing themselves in video. Yeah. Now with Instagram, I think it's all about that perfect shot. So if you can get pictures that are in like a great location or that just make people look amazing, that gives them a real nice easy license to pick it out and tag them, put it on their own Instagram.
Is that where you're getting a lot of success from, that kind of
it's something that we're moving towards, but it's a challenge, like we spend so much money on photographers, videographers. The challenge is first of all making that content and then getting that content in front of the right people.
Yeah. Just backtrack a little bit to the bar crawl and the scale of it. What's that? The big nights, I'm assuming it's quite seasonal, but how many people are you getting on one event?
Yeah, I mean it totally varies, but so on the quiet nights we get 15 to 50 people. Then on the going towards the weekend, it'll be more like 50 to 75. On the weekend, we would expect 100 to 150 on a Friday and Saturday. And then in summertime, in peak season, we'll double that. So, we expect about 300. And then we run special events as well. So we do, our biggest bar crawls of the year are St. Patrick's Day, Halloween, New Year's Eve. On those big guys, we would expect 600 people that we have on the crawls. We divide them up into 2 separate crawls sometimes just to make it a little bit easier.
Do people make it through the
crawl? Oh my God, that's a terrible question. You know what? So the other day, I was chatting to my friend and he said, how many people do you think you've taken to Ministry of Sound on your bar crawls, like in the last 10 years? I was like, wow, back of a fag packet, it's in the tens of thousands. And then he was like, how many did you check made it home all right? And I was like, well, look, our guides go in there, they make sure they have a good time, like they all know how to get back, so it's fine. But yes, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Everyone that goes on the bar crawl has a great time and loves it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Is there any linking between the 2 events that you do? So will you push people from the student nights to go to the bar crawl? And
you know what? We tend not to. We tend to keep them very separate. If a night is starting off and it needs a bit of a booster crowd, we might put the pub crawl in there. But generally we like to keep them separate. Like you can't run a good event unless it is self-sustaining, and we say that. So the events might have a bit of cross promotion. We might flyer from one to the other. Yeah. But generally, no, we tend to keep them pretty separate.
Is that why you think has been the success? I mean, the fact that you've been going 10 years and London's predominantly your... Are you from London?
No, I'm from Stratford-upon-Avon, countryside.
Okay, cool.
Shakespeare?
Yeah. I'm aware of the guy.
Yeah. Well, I did some great stuff.
So you've come into London, which everyone says if you can crack London, you can crack anywhere. You've been in London established for 10 years. So what would you say has been the major selling point of the success?
You know what? I mean, I always think that when we get someone new with the team, I always say to them, like, event promotion is not a rocket science. It's really just about being industrious and creative in the way that you promote. You know, it's not about, we don't work like a big brand would, where we just kind of put an event in and wait for ticket sales to come in. We have to be industrious and work hard. So I would put down, you know, why we've been in business so long, just to the fact that we always work hard. We've got good event managers. Some of our best event managers have been with us for over 5 years. And they are always just working hard, coming up with new ideas, and we go through what works and what doesn't.
Have you had instances where people have been on the bar crawls and they've gone, actually now I want a job with you?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah. It's the big thing that I remember from guiding is that people come up to you, they've had a few drinks, like, this is the best job in the world. You get paid to party and all that kind of stuff. So we always to encourage people like to join us, that kind of stuff. We find that the average, you know, our tour guides for the bar crawl, they tend to only work with us for like a year maximum, really, just because after that time they've gone on enough pub crawls and they just move on to the next thing that they want to do. Yeah.
Is it a challenge, the whole recruitment side of things, because getting the balance right from people that just want to have a good time and party to people that actually want to work?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Totally. Because it's hard to find reliable people who love to party as well. I feel like you can do it. We always say with our staff, our team, we really like to make them feel as much as a family as possible, and just basic stuff like having monthly get-togethers and communicating well with them about what's going on and what you want to achieve. And you know, I think that's what really kind of builds a nice, reliable team of staff.
Yeah. So forgive me, you're a nationwide company as well as a London-based company?
No, we're not. No, so we are just exclusively in London.
Okay.
And to be honest, we've approached expansion regionally and nationwide in the last 10 years. We've approached it 2 or 3 times, and it's just not a route that we've decided to go down. Really, you know, when you're looking to scale, you know, it changes the whole structure of the company that you're looking to do, and for different reasons along the way, we've always decided that we don't want to do that, and we want to stay more London centric.
Have people cottoned on to that and kind of tried to come in and get on your turf and offer something different, or have you had competition that's come and gone?
I mean, competition that definitely just comes and goes in London. That's something that we've dealt with right from the start, and it's part of the reason why we like being based in London, because we can deal more effectively with competition as and when it comes in. Bar crawls, they exist throughout Europe, you know, so every major city will have at least one, you know, bar crawl. In London, I think there probably are 4 or 5 different bar crawl providers that you can go with, and student night operators as well. It varies between cities, but you're going to find a lot of different student promoters too. So it is competitive, and I think we took that into consideration, and that's why we've decided not to move at the moment. But who knows, you know, things are going more and more digital, and I feel that the more and more digital things go, the kind of easier it is to scale.
Yeah. Do you do, in terms of the competition, do you do any sort of market research, looking at what they're doing and trying to come up with your own ideas, and I guess vice versa as well? I'm assuming they're looking at you and...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's something that's quite good with the events world, is that everyone's coming up with ideas, coming up with concepts, and and part of what we do is about picking up on stuff that's cool and, you know, making it work for the events that we do. So I think that's pretty important. You know, a couple of years ago when Alro hit the scene, you know, I think that was massively influential, and we've tried to incorporate that and put a bit more fun into the events that we do. We always like to keep our ear to the ground with trends and what's going on.
Yeah. So over the 10-year period, what's been the biggest success and the biggest failure?
Oh, tough one. I mean, we've had some cracking New Year's Eves. New Year's Eve is like a big challenge for a lot of event operators. A lot of people I know are just so sick and tired of trying to plug away and do a good New Year's Eve event that they even just put it to the side and are happy just to not deal with it. We've done sell-out New Year's Eve pub crawls every year for the last 8 years, which is something we're really proud of. And this year was the first year that we actually did that with student nights as well, and that's not something that's typical for students to book dedicated student nights for New Year's Eve, but we sold tons of tickets through Wicked Student Nights for New Year's Eve as well. So I would say that's probably our kind of biggest achievement that we've had.
Yep.
Biggest failure? Ooh, I don't know really. I mean,
has there been ideas that you've come up with that haven't quite worked out?
Yeah.
Planned? Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I like I was saying, event promotion for me is not rocket science. Most of the time, when an event is successful, it's because you've got a team around it that believed in that concept and were able to communicate about how best to make it work. And I think when I look back at failures we've had in events, those are the ones where maybe the communication between the team hasn't been good enough to stand up and say, look, come on, this concept wasn't quite right, or we didn't put together a very good plan of action for this. So I can't really specify one exact one, but you know.
What's the plans for the future then, for both brands?
Yeah, well, I mean, so with Wicked Student Nights, we're really hoping we can get some new big university partners on board. We're really establishing ourselves. We're the biggest dedicated student events provider in London, and that's something that we're starting to really dominate the market on. So we're hoping that we can provide nightlife for more students through Wicked Student Nights. That's just our broad goal at the moment. And then with the pub crawl, it's really just about growth. You know, we're looking to continue what we're doing. As a company, I actually, you know, it's actually my birthday today. Can't believe you boys didn't mention it.
I know.
But I'm 31, so I think I'm getting a little bit old for things. So I'm moving on to some different projects. For example, we're sat at the moment in a little event space that we've got in Covent Garden. It gets used for loads of different stuff like private parties and stuff like that. So I've got my own little projects alongside the pub crawl and the student nights.
So you would rent this out for different events as opposed to the ones within your remit?
Yeah, so we opened up this event space, like a year ago or so, and we've had loads of weird events that have come up in here. Yeah, it's been a bit of an eye opener into kind of how diverse the world of events can be. We've had launch parties that are more kind of standard, where we've had Jägermeister did a product launch down here, Plantation Rum did a launch down here as well. But then we've had some filming where they were filming a promo video for Naked Sushi. That was
I thought I could smell something. I think it's in the sofa.
It actually looked like quite a decent product, but apparently I wasn't there at the time, it's worth saying. But apparently she was there for a very long time and she needed the toilet eventually. And what are you meant to do when you've got loads of sushi all over you? I don't know what you're meant to do there.
Where's this going?
Anyway, there's a host of really weird events that we do down here. It gets used for like as a filming location, it gets used for private parties, Christmas parties, and also we're hoping that it can get used a lot more for a bit more daytime stuff. You know, like I plug away at nighttime events and clubbing all the time, but I'm hoping that we can use this place for meetings, workshops, that kind of stuff as well.
Has that thrown your body clock off for the last few years then?
Yeah, you know, I mean, my wife just says I'm lazy, but like if someone wants to do like an 8 a.m. meeting, I hate it, you know, like, and I think everyone in nightlife knows that feeling. Like we've kind of programmed our body clocks to run a little bit later, but you know what, I quite enjoy the challenge of doing stuff during the daytime and doing stuff in the evening. So I love having this event space now.
What's your opinion on nightlife as a whole? I guess you've got quite a unique take on it, being London first and foremost, and obviously focused on tourists and students. Because there's, no matter who you speak to in the industry, some people say that it's the sort of the trend is continuing to go down. Others saying it's on the way up. I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I see things as going up. Like, I know that there's been reports of trends of people going out less, spending less on their nights out. But, everything we do goes against that. We've had, some of the best years ever for Wicked Student Nights in the last year, and the pub crawl numbers have been really consistent over the last year as well, when at a time when tourism to the UK has been a little bit all over the place. Yeah. So I see things as being really positive. There are definitely some things that I notice, like people love to spend a bit more of their money on festivals these days, and I think a lot of the operators that were very comfortable have become a bit uncomfortable, and some of them have closed down. But for me, that just kind of separates the good from the bad, and the people who are coming up with new ideas from the ones who are doing the same old stuff.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap up here, what is kind of the strangest stories you've heard from, say, your reps that have gone, look, we've got someone here and I don't know what's going on? Have you had any moments of crisis or funny incidents like that?
Yeah, you know what, I've had loads. I'll try and work out which ones I can tell you on the camera, which ones I can't. But, I remember one in particular, right? So, in fact, you asked me about the kind of biggest failure we had. About 5 years ago, we took on a party bus, our own double-decker party bus called the, One Big Night Out party bus.
I remember it, yeah.
We had it vinyl wrapped, and it was a beautiful thing, it was wonderful. And I remember that we got this job, which we picked them up from a nightclub in Vauxhall at 2 a.m. And their job was just non-specified. We're just going to drive around for a few hours from Vauxhall. Anyway, the bus came back, and I remember that a lot of these groups, they often leave the bus very dirty. So when they called me the next day, they said, "Oh, Julian, the bus is incredibly dirty." All I can tell you, boys, is that I've never ever seen a bus that's been destroyed in such a way. They'd used it as a mixture of a rubbish bin and a toilet and all kinds of different things. And the cleaning process for that bus is not something that I would ever want anyone to have to do again.
No.
Fair enough.
Is the bus still going, or?
Nah, you know what? We canned the buses about 3 years ago, just because we found that that's definitely a market that isn't really going anywhere too fast. Yeah. If people want a party bus, they can still get in touch with us. We've got some kind of like legacy websites, and we work with some providers who are still really, really great. There's two in particular. There's a guy called Simon who runs a company called Bussin' and Clubbin', and his party bus is amazing. He's a great guy to work with. And then Retro Bus Hire in London. There are a couple of ladies who run some amazing open top buses that you can hire as well.
I just think, from my perspective, I just think if you're going to be clubbing and going around as well, you've got to really hold on, and I suppose that might be the fun of it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when you're trying to get on the bus as you're up the stairs, because you just pray that the bus driver doesn't take off and you're going to fling back.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
When you throw alcohol into the mix.
It's a nightmare. I mean, you get people like, the first thing they say is they get on the bus and like, "Oh, where's the toilet? I need the toilet." It's like, there's no toilet on this bus. So that's the first thing. Secondly, people are like, "Okay, I want to do karaoke on my bus." As soon as they start karaoke, they don't realize that they've got the whole sound system. Everyone on that bus has to listen to them belting their heart out, and karaoke singers are never the best. And then, as you said, the bus is swerving all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can absolutely imagine. Okay, good stuff. Well, listen, really. Do you want to add?
No.
Really appreciate you seeing us on your birthday of all days.
Yeah.
Have you got much planned for the rest of it?
You know what? Behind the scenes, I'm a massive craft beer fan. So I'm spending my birthday. I've got 25 of my closest, and we're going to Brewdog over in Tower Hill. We've got a couple of hours of bottomless craft beers.
Nice.
So I think that'd be pretty good.
So I'm sure that'll end well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, wish me luck.
Thanks a lot. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.